Guns. Guns can kill people. Guns can be bad. Guns are bad. Now, I actually don't think that way, but there's a lot of people out there who do. And I just want to talk to you about guns. What do you think guns do in the world to make people more violent than they already are? Now, you could argue, well, if there's a gun around, someone can go and shoot up people. Well, let's think about that for a second. How do they get guns? There are already over 20,000 gun laws in the United States, including federal laws that apply in all the states, that people have to follow. When you buy a gun from a gun store, there is a required background check. When you buy a gun from a private sale, there is no background check. Is that a cause of all the problems in the world? Well, the Brady campaign says that over 40% of gun sales are from private-owned sales that are not reported. Now think about that for a second. Sales that are not reported. How can they give us a number of how many sales there are that are not reported? I think, in my opinion, that's a made-up number, just as the whole idea that private sales are the cause of any of the mass shootings, because how many of these mass shootings have been through private sales? In the Sandy Hook shooting, it was a gun that was stolen, that wasn't a private sale. In the Tucson shooting, it was from a store, and the person had no criminal background, no mental record, but he obviously lied on his background check or, gun shop paperwork that he had to do, but that wasn't the gun shop. That was him breaking the law, which, as we know, people who are going to break the law anyway, so they don't care about that. But that's a law that's in place to prevent people from doing bad things. Now, if you don't notice the trend here, laws don't stop people from breaking them, especially people who are going to break the law anyways. So why do people think that laws are going to affect criminals? Criminals don't follow laws. The people who do follow laws are people like me. People who believe in the right to bear arms and self-defense and protecting your home and family, but I also don't believe you have the right to go out and pick a fight and shoot people and attack people. I don't think that's right, and most responsible gun owners don't either. Most gun owners are not violent people. That's where anti-gun people and pro-gun people come together and have the same mindset. We all want the same thing, and that is we want peace and we want people not to get hurt. Now, the anti-gun people say you're going to do that by getting rid of guns. The pro-gun people say you do that by keeping guns and using them against bad people who have guns. So we all want the same thing, and I actually saw a great video on this. I'm not trying to steal her words, I'm starting to here, but Destiny of Fate made a great video on that. But anyways, the point is very, very true. Anti-gun people, pro-gun people, we all want peace, and we want people not to get hurt. Now, the thing is, guns exist in the world. There's millions and millions of guns in America. I think there's 8 guns for every 10 people. So, calculate that by your population. There's 8 guns for every 10 people where you live. Do you really think you can make all those guns disappear? How are you going to do it? Or is everybody just going to give up their guns for nothing? Say, oh, okay, here's all my guns that I spent a bunch of money on, or that I had handed down from my grandfather from World War II, who died fighting, the Nazis to get this gun here. It's my birthright. You're going to take that away from me. How many people are going to give up their guns and their antiques and their heirlooms and these expensive equipment that people have invested time and money into? Some of them, yeah, some of them, but a lot of them aren't. Now, think about criminals. Do you think criminals will give up and register their guns if the government says, hey everybody, you got to register guns so you can be legal? Do you think criminals and gangsters and thugs are going to say, oh, hey guys, it's time to go out and register our MAC-10s and TAC-9s, let's do this, boys? No, that's not going to happen. So, if all these people aren't going to give up their guns, how are they going to get rid of the guns? How are you going to get rid of guns out of society, out of the big picture, out of the grand scheme of things? How are you going to get guns out of the world? The answer is, you can't do that. You can't get guns out of the world. You can't make them disappear. You can't make them not exist because we have them everywhere. So we have to live with it as a reality of our life. So what can we do? We can choose to do one of two things. The first thing, we can continue to believe that there is some chance of a fairy tale coming true and all the guns in the world disappearing. We can try to believe that. We can try to believe that's going to happen someday. Or option number two, we can realize that there are so many guns that it's impossible for them to not exist anymore, that the only way we can educate and protect ourselves against them is to know how they work and what they're intended for. A gun is not intended to go shoot up a school. Ask any responsible firearm owner and they will tell you how stupid and disgusting and despicable such an action is. No one would ever condone that or support that who believes in the right to own guns, and it's preposterous to even think that we would. But beyond that, guns are not evil objects. They only become evil when someone evil picks them up. Just as an evil person can drive a car and hit people, just as an evil person can take a kitchen knife that's used for cooking food and stab people, just as someone can take your garden fertilizer and make a bomb and blow up the Oklahoma City building, like Timothy McVeigh did. People will find ways and methods to kill and destroy because people are violent in nature. But what the bad people and the scared people don't think about is there are good people who know that violence can be used to fight violence. Now, fire can't be used to fight fire, and that applies to violence too. You should never be the one starting the fire. But if you put the fire out, you can prevent that fire from spreading even farther. That's something that gun people believe in. Now, I'm not saying there should be no gun control, there should be no gun laws, but what I am saying is there's no reason to ban magazine capacity sizes or assault weapons. First of all, magazine capacity sizes have been getting smaller and smaller. Ask what the police use. Are they going to start using less bullets? And how is that going to protect law-abiding people? Well, once again, only criminals are going to ignore this law, while all of us law-abiding responsible people have to continue following their made-up law. And it's only going to hurt us. It's not going to hurt the psychopaths and lunatics. They're going to use whatever they want. They're not going to care about the law because they already don't. It's only going to affect us. And assault weapons is a made-up term that doesn't really mean anything. It's based off how a gun looks. If it looks like a scary military weapon, it is. No, it's not. It functions differently. You can have an old World War II gun or old hunting gun that function exactly the same as these scary assault weapons. You can shoot just as fast with a cowboy revolver, if you want to put it in terms like that, as you could with an assault weapon or an AK. You know, those guns that they're showing on the news to try to scare you with, they don't work like that. They're not automatic. They're not machine guns. They are not machine guns. And that's why we shouldn't be trying to ban them, because people think they're something that they're not. They think they're machine guns. They think they're military weapons, but they're not military weapons. So I urge all you anti-gun people out there, and even you pro-gun people, to try to join forces and realize that we all want the same thing, and it's to save lives. And if I could potentially save my life and the people I love, their lives, by carrying a gun, if I could potentially save our lives, I'd say it's worth it. And not only that, it's enshrined in the Constitution of this nation. So thank you for watching, and I hope I shared some interesting thoughts with you guys.